The Arizona Cardinals offense must be their best defense in 2024 if they want to improve upon their win total from 2023.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Cardinals, Alex Clancy here. Follow me on Twitter, Clancy's Corner _. Follow the podcast at Locked On AZ Cards. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen free wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Go to the YouTube channel, search Locked On Arizona Cardinals. Hit that subscribe button, man. Turn notifications on. Thanks for being an everydayer. If you've been around for a while, I'm going into my 8th season. Been in sports radio here since 2011. Pivoted to just the podcast a couple years ago. And this is the best job I've ever had. So thanks for being a part of it. Thanks for, we deserve media members and fans alike deserve what we're expecting to see in 2024. It's been a couple years and, it's time. It's time. Today's episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. The uneven roster. I'm going to talk about it in the last segment. Why, even though it may look the same, it's not even close to the same. I saw a tweet that kind of piqued my anger's excessive frustration / laziness detector. That Kyler Murray, we're not going to see him in the preseason. Big deal. I'll talk about it in the second segment. And then first, I've alluded to this over the last couple shows, but I think it's important to really take a full segment and hammer this home. With the loss of B.J. Ojulari and with the uncertainty of what the production is going to be in 2024 for the defense before that, I think setting expectations for people is important. And while this isn't a rain on parade segment whatsoever, it's going to be so fun to watch this offense. It's going to be so fun to watch this offense. Terrell Owens gif of, popcorn through the helmet all year. And the second part is it better be. It's one of those things where the Cardinals are banking so much on the offense to produce that if they don't, we could be having very different conversations at the end of the season. Now, there's nothing to signify that it won't happen. It doesn't matter the offense, the defenses they're playing against. It doesn't matter how good the teams are playing against. This team's going to put up points. Okay. I mean, it would be a statistical anomaly if they did. With that, as the process of rebuilding this roster from rubble, the defense, as I mentioned yesterday and I've mentioned a bunch of times, the defense this year is the offense last year. We have no idea what the hell's going to happen. And obviously different reasons. Kyler Murray was out. There was a lot of unknowns. Trey McBride jumping into his second year, who the quarterback was going to be. Michael Wilson, what was he going to do? Was James Conner be able to replicate when everybody knows they're going to run the ball because they have no pass game? All of those things. This is more the question marks of who's going to step up right away. And with that, I think setting the proper expectation of you're not going to be able to trust the defense to win games for you in 2024. And again, this isn't poor roster construction. This is the game plan put together by Monty Osford that gets them back into relevancy in 2025. And he hasn't come out and said that, but look at how everything's lining up. Look at all the money they have to spend. They still have $30 million to spend now. They're going to have 90 plus next year. Everything's going to change. And that big 0-1 jump, the official one, will happen next year. Could they make the playoffs this year? Sure. It's a far cry from where they were last year, naturally. But when I say the offense is the best defense for the Cardinals, and it must be in 2024, this is what I mean. The Cardinals need to win the time of possession battle every game. Every game, if they want to win. Now, while the time of possession battle doesn't automatically translate to victory, what it normally does is it translates to being competitive. And sure, the Cardinals are going to have both good and bad, short possessions. Every team does. Like this is, I didn't even need to say that. Good and bad, 2-play long bomb to Marvin Harrison Jr. touchdown that lasted a minute, or an interception, a fumble, a 3-and-out with 2 runs that are stuffed, and a pass that's a minute and 5 seconds. What Drew Petzing showed immediately last year was he was much more capable of putting together long and sustained drives worth of play calling than Cliff Kingsbury was. It was just like, oh, that's what that looks like. Oh, wait, it's 4th and 6 on the 32-yard line of the opposition, and you're kicking a field goal. Why are you not going for it? It's just like you had to rewire your entire brain to remove the Cliff-tastic nature. Yeah, I got there. I should have had it right away. There's only so many. I've been doing this too long with Cliff that I have to come up with something new every time. The Cliff-tastic nature, as I pivot back to the offense that we once knew it last year, it was a smack in the face that was fantastic, saying, hey, this is how a big boy NFL offense is run. And you saw how long those drives were. It's like, okay, it's just different. It's a different philosophy. Okay. How the offense needs to be the best defense in 2024. The things we know, they're going to run the rock. And then they're going to run it, and then they're going to run it. And it's going to be a lot more eating up the play clock. They're going to utilize every second they have with the ball in their possession in an effort to not only keep the opposing offense off the field, but also allow the Cardinals defense to have the best chance to succeed. And this isn't to say the defense is lesser than. This is a better defense than it was last year. They're hungry. They've got great leaders in Nick Rallis and Jonathan Gannon to be able to put themselves in a situation to succeed at the best of their ability. They are just under-talented. And the infusion of talent like we saw the offense this year will be theirs next year. They need to run the ball. Turnovers cannot be a thing. And listen, turnovers are part of the game, but you can say this about any setting. Oh, the Cardinals can't turn the ball over if they want to win. The magnifying glass on turning the ball over in 2024 will be more potent than ever for this team. Kyler Murray taking care of the ball has never been more important than it has this year, because now the stakes have risen to where it's like, all right, they're going to be an in the hunt team, what I call, the overlay starting in week 13 for teams that are going to make the playoffs. They need to be an in the hunt team this year to see the proof of concept continue. This is the next step. They need to run the ball, not turn the ball over. And the question mark that I could do an entire show just about what I'm about to say in these next 2 minutes. What they do on 4th down this year is going to be so fascinating for a couple reasons. One, so say it's 4th and 2 on the opposing team's 36. So it's a 53-yard field goal for Matt Prater. It's still well within his range. Do you take the points or try to take the points on a 50-yard field goal where you never give up points, especially with the defense that has less talent than the offense? Do you go for it on 4th down with a chance to put your defense in a bad situation? Or do you mix it up? Obviously, you're going to be mixing up depending on game flow, score, everything like that. But in a vacuum, 4th downs are going to be so fascinating this year. With the rush attack the Cardinals have on 4th and short, you would think that they'd go for it more than other teams in that situation because they've got good offensive line, good rush attack, good rush play calling package, and great blocking tight ends. So if you want to go big, go for it on 4th and 2 instead of giving up, instead of trying to put 3 points on the board with a 47-yard field goal, something like that. That's the part that we don't know yet. That's the part that I'm assuming Drew Petzing has an idea. Obviously, when you get into week 7, week 8, week 9, when you start to see the win-loss, things will change a little bit. You either get more desperate or you become more reserved, things like that. Obviously, you're going to balance. But in a vacuum, I'm just fascinated to see what they do. All we know in 2024 is, as of right now, the offense is going to be good, the defense isn't going to be as good, and the offense is going to need to carry the defense in an effort to win more games. The offense must be the best defense the Cardinals have in 2024 because they have that in their control. And if that can happen, the Cardinals can still make the playoffs, even though the defense isn't as talented as it needs to be, but will be in 2025. Locked on Cardinals, your team every day. Kyler Murray's not playing during the preseason. Doesn't matter. No. Next. This episode of Locked on Cardinals is brought to you by the Game Time app. First of all, Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace in Major League Baseball, which means getting tickets is faster and easier through Game Time. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down as it gets closer to first pitch, which is awesome. So you get off work late. Like, oh, man, let's just check to see the Game Time app. Oh, first pitch is 7:05. Oh, sweet. Yeah. Let's $28 for, yeah, let's do it. Game Time's got you covered with that. If you don't know what a vantage point looks like before you buy the tickets, you will with Game Time. Say you haven't sat in right field before, but you want to because there's some power lefties and you want to potentially catch a home run ball. You can click on the section in the row and the seat that you want to buy potentially, and it'll show you the vantage point from the seats before you buy them. So you know exactly what you're going to be looking at, which is awesome. You know, there's no more, oh man, I thought these tickets were better than they were. You know exactly what you're getting before you buy it with Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. The offense needs to be the best defense in 2024. The offense needs to meet the defense 70% of the way there. And I think they're fully capable. And just before I pivot here, this isn't an original situation for NFL teams. Many times, most times, the lopsided nature of a team predicates, what their game plan is going to be going into the year. So just with the Cardinals this season, it's becoming more and more apparent that unless you've got massive, massive leaps right away from very young players, it's going to be a year where you're going to see what you got. You're going to see where the stars are. As I discussed last season a lot, you need to see where the stars are so it'll save you picks in the draft because you already have those guys. And we'll see what the cornerback room looks like, which is still, I've said, the biggest direct correlative between wins and losses will be the cornerback room for the Cardinals this year. So we'll see. We could be pleasantly surprised. If you're pleasantly surprised, again, if the Cardinals are a top 15 defense, they're making the playoffs. They could win 10 games if they have a top 15 defense, regardless of how tough their schedule is for the first 8 weeks. No preseason games for Kyler Murray. Head coach Jonathan Gannon spoke to the media yesterday and said that. Cool. The pushback here I've had in the past, it's, you got a bunch of new guys and you never run this offense with them. But I think that, first of all, this is becoming more and more prevalent. Sean McVay did it. He's like, nope, nobody's playing. Well, coach, nope, nobody's playing. Like, okay, preseason is pretty much getting your feet wet with a new offense if you're on a new team or a rookie, or, building rapport with players to make sure. But really, the preseason is filling out your roster, making cuts, building the depth chart, seeing who your guys are going to be on game day come week 1. So I don't really see, let me put it this way. Kyler Murray's earned not playing in the preseason this year. And that sounds weird because, why? They've won 8 games combined the last 2 seasons. He tore his ACL. He didn't look amazing when he came back. He looked Kyler Murray-esque, but he didn't look like his full self. Okay, and he's done the work. Everything that he's done since tearing his ACL has got him prepared to be the man and the leader to lead this team in 2024. That's good. That was the tough part. Not the play on the field. He's put the reps in. On top of that, he's obviously ingratiated himself to everybody. Everybody loves him. He's ready to roll. And it's something that the Cardinals are well aware of, and they're ready to just push forward. If you asked me 2 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, he probably should play. In a game, a series? He's going to run the ball. He's going to play 2 series, throw the ball twice, and get a feel for it. He's going to the year 6, man. Like, that's not – I don't think it's necessary anymore in this situation. Okay, if this was still Cliff and this was still different things, we may be having a different conversation. This is a very controlled environment that the Cardinals have now. They've done plenty this offseason. I mean, he flew everybody out, did a bunch of reps without the team buildings, the team building stuff on his own time. It's different. They've had enough reps. And you're going to go into Buffalo week 1. You're going to go into Orchard Park, and maybe you'll surprise some people. I don't think the benefit of putting Kyler Murray out there outweighs the risk. And this is a bigger conversation. I think preseason games should just be removed. Like, it's a money-making machine for the NFL still. You can still buy $18 beers during a game that doesn't count, and you just do more joint practices, and you extend camp. You have this entire other month instead of preseason games, and you find out what the depth chart looks like there. These guys are smart. They know who's going to make the team. 2 interceptions against a third string quarterback is going to be a make or break for some guys? Maybe, but also you can't make everybody happy. Like, I don't think preseason games are necessary at this point. When you can do just more camp stuff and joint practices. With that, what's the downside to Kyler Murray not playing? Because that's the question. What's the downside? And if, nothing's absolute. So, of course, it's like I see zero reason why he should play. There is downside to him not playing naturally. Reps with Trey Benson, reps with the new offensive line. The whole left side is going to be different. The whole right side is, I guess the right side, just Jonah Williams. Like, I'm assuming Jonah Williams and Paris Johnson aren't going to play. Like, we don't really know entirely. They do have a game on Saturday against the Saints. So we're there. We made it. Let's kumbaya together. Yippee-yi-yo, Kaye. Nailed it. Thank you in the comments from yesterday. The downside is rust. That's it. Like any player would have. This has nothing to do with his injury. This has nothing to do with him missing the first half of last season. There's just the rust. But I have spoiler alert for you. I feel like the rest of the NFL is going to catch on. And not a lot of starting quarterbacks are going to play this preseason. Sure, you want to be that team that sends out, that plays a quarter of football in the third preseason game or second preseason game. I don't know exactly what's the most important one now. It used to be the third one when there were 4, and now is it the second one when there were 3, or is it the third one when there were 3? I don't know. But on top of that, a positive is we'll see if Clayton Tune or Desmond Ridder are QB2 capable. I mean, it seems like Clayton Tune's the guy. He has had a full year. He did start a game that we like to forget. Desmond Ridder hasn't looked great from all the things I've seen and read. But that's more what I'm interested in. What's a contingency plan if Kyler Murray gets hurt? Which guy is more trustworthy? At this point, it's Clayton Tune, but I want to see in the games. And I think that would be way more beneficial for the Cardinals than rolling Kyler Murray out. And they won't. So I think it's the right move. And everybody's going to be rusty week 1. So I feel like also – can I do a lazy one too? The element of surprise is going to be fantastic because nobody will have seen Kyler Murray with this offense yet. Nailed it. That was a lazy one. Okay. I don't like to go lazy, but it's fun. Icing on the cake. It's a Wednesday. Who cares? Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Just because the uneven roster is still around doesn't mean things are the same as they used to be. I'll explain next. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by our friends at LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. But LinkedIn isn't just a job board, man. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new role but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Okay. The offense needs to be the best defense for the Cardinals in 2024. Keeping Kyler Murray on the shelf during the preseason is just the right move at this point. It's prudent, but I think that it's the right move. Sure, downside, rust, things like that. The Cardinals can't afford to be rusty. They've got, the Bills and then the Rams and the Lions. Schedule's going to be tough no matter what, and getting a few reps in during the preseason, I don't think is going to change that. It's not going to magically have the Cardinals play the Carolina Panthers 17 times next year. So, prep, keep it in-house, get ready to rock week 1. I saw a tweet from Chuck Harris, and this isn't a knock on him whatsoever. It's not. I don't do things like that. And then he said pretty much that, the roster was uneven and that they haven't done anything to sign people. And I see in the comments, the same thing. It's the same old stuff, same Cardinals, same stuff. And it's not. I disagree with that specifically. I respect Chuck. I like his work. I disagree with that thing specifically. There's a plan in place. It wasn't a plan before. It's like a Jackson Pollock painting before. It's like it was just, it's over. Oh, what are we doing here? Oh my God, it's like, I don't know. It's like a puppy chasing a butterfly. It's like, what's going on here? This is different. Sure, the B.J. Ojulari injury was definitely a setback. Hopefully, speedy recovery, and he'll be ready for week 1 next year, you hope. You can't strip an entire organization down to the studs and rebuild it in 18 months. Completely. What have they built in 18 months? They've gone from dysfunction to functionality. They've built a culture. They have proper leaders in place with the new regime. They have good coordinators. They've stood by Kyler Murray from day one because they wouldn't have taken the jobs if that wasn't the case. And what they've done is been meticulous. They've drafted well, at least with the futures look good for the players that they've drafted in the 2 drafts. They've added key veteran pieces. And when I say key veteran, it's like, oh, that's a nice way of saying role players. Yeah, but very important to the construction of this roster that was ripped down to the studs. 40% of the roster in 2022 was back in 2023. 40%. So, what they have in place is the stencil and infrastructure to be great. Now, they just need to fill it with talent across the board. But what we saw from 2022 to now, look at the offense. I've discussed every day, as you'll know this, you hear me say this more than many. I don't like cliches. I think they're lazy. But if you need any more proof of concept than the offense, I got nothing for you. Look at what they've done. Has he spent money? No. Was it on purpose? Yes. Is he being frugal? Sure. Is he doing it for a bigger purpose? Yes. Going out and spending every dollar the Cardinals have this offseason, would it have made the defense that much better? Like with B.J. Ojulari going down and the Hassan Reddick or Matthew Judon trade, it's like, stop it. It's not just because there's a name that somebody threw out there and it's like, oh, he used to play with the Cardinals. Oh, they should trade for him. Oh, he's good. Look at the big picture, man. Cardinals are still most likely going to be a bottom 20 defense. What do you call between 20 and 32? It can't be bottom half because that's off like half, But I'm not going to say bottom 5 defense either. Doesn't matter. It's not going to tip the scale enough to warrant the funds given. So just because you could do that doesn't mean it's most beneficial for the future of the team. You're not going to rip up, I discussed this yesterday, you're not going to rip up the game plan just because BJ Ojulari tears his ACL. It's like, oh, freak out moment. Everybody run around. Michael Scott, when everything was on fire. It's happening. Get out. No, chill. One player is not going to change this defense. So while it looks uneven, yes. Comparing this and this current roster and this current setup for the Cardinals going into 2024 with the past, you can't. That part, in my opinion, is a lazy thought process. Oh, it looks the same, so it is. There's so much more that goes into it than that. That's giving Steve Keim too much credit. Steve Keim made his mess and then just danced in it. Monty Ossenfort is cleaning up Steve Keim's mess. And it takes more than 10 minutes to do it. I will leave you with maybe my favorite. I have, metaphors and stuff, similes, whatever they are. I was terrible with the SATs. I even took Latin for the SATs for the verbal. I still got like a 570, idiot. So my favorite thing that I've used to describe the current situation of the Cardinals, and they're almost out of it. By 2025, they will be. When you were growing up and you have that friend that comes over and plays with you and your toys for a couple hours, good friend, and then when his mom or dad shows up or her mom or dad shows up, they leave without helping you clean up. That's what Steve Keim left Monty Ossenfort with. A mess with no help to clean up. So while, yes, the roster is still uneven, look at what the offense has become in 2 off seasons. That's all the proof of concept you need for what the defense will be in store for after this season. Alex Sensi, Locked On Cardinals. Remember, without you, there is no me, man. I'll talk to you tomorrow.